we bring in our good friend, Congressman Jim Jordan of Ohio, for the latest on Capitol Hill, variety of different subjects.
Okay.
But I know I got to start with you. I was just talking to Rand Paul about a different thing that's going on in the world of sports. But when you saw Congressman Dawn Staley come out and say she's the University of South Carolina women's basketball coach, just won the national championship, that she thought that if a guy identifies as a woman, he should be able to play women's basketball in college, potentially even for South Carolina. You coached. Did you think to yourself, they just keep getting crazier?
No, it is. This is Sarah Huckabee Sanders' response to the State of the Union a year ago, where she said the divide in America today is normal versus crazy, and it's true. Like that's just a crazy idea. I think it probably made more people all the more wanting Iowa to win and cheering for Caitlin Clark, for goodness sake.
I don't think there's any doubt at all about that.
Congressman Jordan, appreciate you being here. The fight right now, this isn't getting that much.
I was saying, Buck, I've still yet to, in our continuing survey, I've still yet to find any guy who goes and gets ice cream by themselves. I just wanted you to know that. And also, Buck, I was listening to you guys last week. We've had the same thing. Our house was built in 1830s. We've had the bird down the chimney, running, flying around, scaring all the kids. We've had that happen at our place too, so I can relate to that. But on the ice cream thing, nothing's changed.
I will say a soot-covered bird, especially if it's a New York City pigeon, is terrifying in close proximity. I know it's actually harmless, but when the little clouds are coming off it and it's coming at you, you're like, I don't really know what to do.
I was laughing so hard because I forget where we were driving, somewhere in Texas, and we had that going, and we were out with helping candidates and different things, and I'm like, I know that feeling. We've had it at our house. We finally put the grates over the top of the chimneys, so we don't get it anymore. But we had that, once every couple of years, we get a bird flying all over the house.
Well, at least you don't live in South Florida. My wife, I've never heard her scream the way I heard when we had a gecko. Now, keep in mind, there are some large, obviously there are alligators, but there are some large reptiles here. There's like the iguana, and some of these iguanas look like small dragons. I'm not going to lie. They're pretty big. This gecko, Congressman, was the size of my pinky finger, and he looked like he just wanted to be friends, but he was like running around inside the bathtub or something. So she didn't like that very much. So, this is why husbands exist, apparently. I gently placed him outside, outdoors. All right, the Constitution, saving America. We're getting back to it right now. Section 702, FISA. I remember all this stuff from back in my agency days. It's been around a long time. You want people to get a warrant if it involves an American, right? Isn't it? What's the fight over the FISA renewal right now?
That's exactly right. They collect information on foreigners. God bless them. We want you to do that. But there's this giant database that inevitably sweeps up Americans as well, who may innocently talk to some foreigner who's under surveillance. And then they go search that database, what I call this giant haystack of information. They go search it, but they don't search it for the foreigner. They use your name, American citizen's name, or your email address or your phone number to get information on you. And the Constitution is clear. If the executive branch is going to go search and get info on you, they have to go to a separate and equal branch of the government, the judicial branch, and get a probable cause warrant. And we're saying you've got to do that here, particularly in light of the fact that the FBI 278,000 times didn't even follow their own protocols and their own rules when they searched this database. Restrictions they were supposedly put on themselves, they didn't even follow those and illegally searched the database. That's why you got to go get a warrant.
What can you tell us about, and by the way, we're glad, obviously, that this has been struck down and doesn't appear like it's going to become law, at least in the short term. There's a lot of talk about what's going to happen with the speaker. You got caught up in all the drama in October. Do you think that the speaker is safe right now? How is this going to play itself out? How would you analyze, for lack of a better term, the horse race that is who's in charge of the Republican House on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I don't think it makes sense to get a third speaker in the same Congress, particularly 6 months before the most important election we have, determining who's going to be our next commander-in-chief. So I don't think that makes sense. Look, I didn't like the bill that passed a few weeks ago, particularly the part that, there was all kinds of things that I thought we shouldn't be funding. But when we gave $200 million additional dollars for a new FBI headquarters, the same FBI that, spied on the presidential campaign and said if your parent going to a school board meeting, you need to be investigated, and on we go. I didn't think that made any sense. So, the things I disagree with, but Mike Johnson's a good man. He's got a really tough job, and I don't think it makes sense for us to be changing speakers again in the middle of this Congress, particularly when right now it looks like President Trump is even or up in all 7 of the swing states. And I think we got a great chance of having President Trump in the White House, which is what I'm 100% for, taking back the United States Senate and keeping the House, and then really getting the chance to do the things that matter to American families.
We've seen President Trump earlier today step off of Trump Force One and address the press assembled and do his usual Trump thing. And then he put on a bit of a show, getting a bunch of milkshakes for folks and doing his thing at Chick-fil-A. This just happened, Congressman. Wanted to let you hear this. This is Biden holding an official press conference and then pulls out the list of pre-approved questioners, and this is how it goes. This is how it sounds. 34.
Third, next question. Who do I call on next? Hang on a second. I got my list here.
God.
Hang on. I apologize. Aurelia of AFP.
I mean, just the contrast. I don't understand how anybody can't see exactly what's going on here. Biden, Trump, how they can actually process information.
Yeah, they can see it. Everyone can see it, but the left doesn't care because, again, back to what Governor Huckabee Sanders said, they're the party now. The Democrat Party is completely controlled by the left, and the left is crazy. It's all about stopping Trump, stopping the First Amendment, like you. I mean, it's all. That's what the left does, and that's what we have to understand. That's why this election is so darn important. The contrast couldn't be clearer. And here's the other thing: Joe Biden will do some event, and there'll be 4 people show up. I've been in the last month, been to 2 of President Trump's rallies. When he's there are thousands of people waiting to get in, can't get in, or outside watching it on the big screen because they know that there's this bond that exists between President Trump and his voters because they know he's actually fighting. In fact, he has a great line. He says, "They're coming after me because I'm fighting for you. They're coming after my freedom because I'm fighting for yours." And the country understands that. And Joe Biden, like you said, he's got to read off a note card and go with the pre-approved media people to get a question in, for goodness sake.
Do you think that he's going to, you listen to the show some, that Buck and I have a stake bet on who is going to be the nominee. And I think you've weighed in a few times over the last, 6-7 months as we've talked about this. When you see like that clip that we just played where Biden has to pull out a note card and figure out who is going to be called on, when you see him struggle as he does anytime they take him off the prompter at all, couple of questions. Do you think, we were talking earlier, do you think there'll actually be debates? And secondly, if there are debates, do you think Biden will be the Democrat nominee, or do you still think they're going to yank him at the last minute?
I think there won't be debates because I think, to answer the second question, because I think he's still going to be the nominee. I think there's no way they're going to change it. I think Joe Biden and frankly maybe the First Lady are just clinging to this. They're not going to leave. I think that's going to be our nominee. And the left, what really concerns me is what are they going to try next? Think about it. This against they spied on his campaign. Then it was Mueller. Then it was impeachment. Then they raid his home. Then it's Jack Smith, 2 different indictments. Fonnie Willis, Alvin Bragg in 2 different states. And then it's the 14th Amendment. What's coming next? What are they going to try? Because we still got 6.5 months. One thing we know about the left is they're relentless. There's going to be something that some new wrinkle they throw out that tries to keep Joe Biden in the White House. So. But I still think he's going to be their nominee. And, who knows? Maybe at the last minute they do something at the convention or around the convention. But I still think it's going to be him. But I don't
Good to know that Congressman Jim Jordan stands right next to Buck on the island of reason and sanity, that Biden will be the nominee. And there'll be no debates, Clay. We got 2 for 2 here.
Yeah, I know. It's Congressman. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'll have to buy you a steak too, or else you're going to have to buy us a steak because I watch this and I just think to myself, this can't be the plan. But who knows? I mean, given what the things are going, they're just going to roll the dice. Maybe they are. They're just going to throw him out there and say it doesn't matter who the presidential candidate is. You got to show up and vote for him.
Either way, it's sad because, in our great, even though we disagree with, I know all 3 of us disagree with President Biden's policies, he's still our president, and you still want a guy who can handle the duties of that most important job, maybe the most important job on the planet. And everyone can see he's just not up to the task. Where, by contrast, President Trump is, no doubt about it, But it's a sad situation we have with the current president.
Congressman Jim Jordan, always appreciate you stopping by, sir. Good to talk to you.
Guys. Thanks. Take care.
Want to tell you this weekend, maybe you're looking for some fun. March Madness is over. I know a lot of you are going to be watching the Masters, but maybe you want to take the kids. Maybe you want to take the wife, girlfriend. Maybe you just want to get out a little bit. New movie coming out Friday, Civil War. A fictional portrayal of the country. What would happen if we had a modern day Civil War? If you love The Last of Us, this is your kind of movie. Movie will portray what might happen in a modern day, not focused on today's politics. California and Texas are on the same side, which kind of gives you an idea. It's not focused on today's politics, but it is a fascinating window into what could happen. Produced by A24, written and directed by Alex Garland. You can get hooked up right now. Buy tickets in advance. You can watch it on IMAX, which I always love to do. Cast, Kirsten Dunst, Bring It On. I think one of the funniest movies of the 21st century. Cheerleader drama. I'm serious. Jesse Plemons, Friday Night Lights. He was amazing in that. He was great in Breaking Bad. I'm told they're married. I didn't even know that. Movie called Civil War. Look it up. Make plans now to see it in theaters this weekend if you can. It is Civil War. Check it out. Released on Friday.